So welcome everyone to today's day of meditation. And today the theme is Dharma. So I guess Dharma is a pretty broad term, and I'll give a Dharma talk about the meaning of Dharma and the practices of Dharma later in the day. And of course, I'm coming to you from Winjabul Waibal country in the Bundjalung Nation, and I want to pay my respects and acknowledge the elders with respects, the elders past, present, and future of that country. And yeah, the practice today, um, I guess when you say practicing Dharma, you're actually moving towards awakening. It's our behaviors of body, speech, and mind that are moving towards awakening. They're in line with the Dharma, the way things actually are, and they're aligned with nature. I mean, there's natural laws that are associated with um, life, and they're encompassed within what we call the Dhamma or the Dhamma. And it's that recognition of those natural laws, like the laws of karma and the laws of dependent arising being the way things arise and how they cease. Those laws that we live by, basically, they they influence us, and we can find awakening when we realize those laws and fully live in accordance with them. So, I mean, there's a whole range of meditation practices we can do to practice Dhamma, of course, but it's not just the meditation, it's, living a life of the Eightfold Path. For example, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right meaning here kind of balanced and complete and going in the direction of awakening. So it's a life journey. It's not just sitting down on a cushion and meditating. Life becomes the meditation. It's like we live present and aware of the way things are, and we wake up to the reality of just this, and then and it's of course it's sometimes we practice more intensely with meditation practice, but it's this life of living and impeccable ethics as best we can. So that supports our the mental development, and that encourages and cultivates wisdom. So it's a life of wisdom. So I guess this morning I'll invite you to a few meditations. I think I'll probably invite you to metta meditation, a loving kindness meditation, and then I think I'd like to invite you to um, mindfulness of breathing, as we had done on the recent retreat. We went through the whole 16 steps of mindfulness of breathing. Today, I'll invite you to um, probably up to the ninth step, and then we'll have silence. And I'll have silence for a few minutes, and I'll finish it with the last tetrad, which is the last tetrad is the last four steps on the 16 steps of mindfulness of breathing, which is focused completely on insight. So mindfulness breathing practice, as many of you know, is this co-joining of serenity and insight approaches. It also goes through the seven factors of awakening. The seven factors of awakening, of course, are mindfulness, investigation of dhammas, energy, joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. It goes through those in a stepwise manner, and it for the first three tetrads, the first 12 steps. A tetrad means a group of four. For those first three tetrads, it's a kind of moves between serenity and insight. Yet this last tetrad is completely on insight. And the way it's completely on insight is that it's focusing on, you're invited to focus on a particular characteristic of existence, the one of impermanence. And when you contemplate impermanence, there's a natural, Or sometimes it's not natural, but when we see how it's futile to cling to anything because it's going to change, when we see that, we realize, ah, I don't, I have, I said a sort of disenchantment or a lacking of craving or a fading away of craving. It's also called dispassion towards these objects that arise and change and disappear. When we have that fading away, there's a sense of freedom coming from letting go. So this last tetrad is about contemplating impermanence in whatever way we can. I mean, if we can contemplate impermanence just in the sensations of our breathing, we can contemplate impermanence in the sounds of the raindrops. If you're up around this part of the country right now, it's just raining on and off, and I can hear the raindrops every now and then. There's impermanent sounds like they're arising and passing, arising and passing. And we can contemplate impermanence on the fact that we're aging. I mean, I'll be 70 in a few months. I reflect on that. I reflect on how things have changed. We all grow old and we're all going to die. I mean, we can reflect on impermanence in the reality of our mortality. I mean, this is something that's going to happen to everyone. Well, we're actually dying every moment anyways, like we arise and pass away every moment, but there is what we normally call a death to this body and mind, this continuum, the continuum that we call ourselves, like, I'm calling myself Malcolm. There's a there's a death to that. There's a finishing off, there's a coming to an end of everything. And so this last tetrad is contemplating impermanence, seeing impermanence. If there is a natural fading away, contemplating the fading away of craving, then contemplating how all things come to an end. There's a cessation. All things come to an end. Everything. All conditioned phenomena comes to an end. And then the final step of the mindfulness of breathing steps, the 16th step, is akin to just letting go. Just letting go. This final step. And I guess if we're at that level, that would result, if you're at that particular, if the conditions are right and the causes and conditions are in place, and we've had practice, and we could experience nibbana at that time, that ultimate freedom, the reality of non-clinging. And with the reality of non-clinging, there's also the reality of freedom from dukkha, freedom from suffering. So, they're the two meditations I'll invite you to. And maybe we can just kind of go straight ahead with that, unless there's any questions. Oh, look, I better go through the logistics of the day. Um, we'll have probably two guided meditations. If you want, you can just stay seated or lying down, whatever posture you're having, and just go through the two meditations concurrently. But what I'll do is I'll invite you to a metta meditation, just a basic metta meditation, and I'll ring the bell at its conclusion. And if you feel like you want to move, you can have a stretch and get up and do what you need to do. And then a couple of minutes later, I'll ring the bell again, and that'll be the beginning of the mindfulness of breathing practice. And that will probably go on a bit longer. Then I'll make that a bit longer, maybe half an hour, something like that. So there's plenty of time for us to be in silence practicing. And in that silent moment, you can probably just stay with whatever step that we've reached or whatever step in mindfulness of breathing that is appropriate for you at this time and place, at this moment, whatever is suitable for you. And the aim here is to develop equanimity and concentration, so that then with that resource by the seven factors of awakening, resource by the culmination of all the factors all the steps that have gone before, you can then turn your attention to directly perceiving impermanence. Okay, so that's this second meditation. So we'll do those two meditations back to back. And if there's any time for silence, for another silent meditation, we'll take that up. And as we lead into a break, we'll have a break at 20 to 11 Australian Eastern Standard Time. And we'll have a tea break. Then we'll come back at 11 for a Dharma talk. And the Dharma talk today is entitled Understanding Dharma, basically. I don't know what it's just about Dharma, the meaning of Dharma and practicing Dharma, basically. And then we'll have some discussion, and then we might have another meditation, depending on how we're going with the discussion. And then I'll have a tea break. I'd have a lunch break at 12:30 to 1:30, where we come back and we do silent sitting or walking or combination of those until 2:30. And then 2:30 to 3, we'll have more Dhamma discussion. Just kind of, okay, thanks everyone. So I'm going to turn off the recording now and invite you to some meditation.